Ishtakana, remix with Akon. You're one wrong, where this man come from? Mojin, Senegal Mojin. For Jamaican City Mojin. West Africa, to North Africa, East Africa, Addis Ababa. Have the same vision, Muslim and Christian, if we just listen.
Yes, indeed. Okay, we are in. Welcome. It's another Black History Month. You know, they said it's 365 days. We going in 365 days of straight Black History Month in it. So, happy Black History Month, Black people. Yes, you know, until we get it in our head that we got to be happy of our history, you know? Yeah, we got a lot to be proud of. So you know where you are, and if you haven't known, we're in a local historical area, which is really the last community we got left, right here in the West End Historic District, you know? And right here, located in the West End off of Lee Street, we did a place called VeganDreamDoughnuts. Yes, indeed. And I'm your host on this show by the name of Ross Isers, and you are tuning in now to what? The Think Champs. Give thanks, all checking in. Tell them what's going on, Rev.
Peace to the gods. Y'all know me, Rebel with a Cause, also a host on the show. And we about to get deep tonight. We about to bring some African facts to the family. We got some deep facts for y'all. And how y'all been?
All right, it's all good, man. Introduce my brethren, my compadre, my fire key brethren by the name of Amda Zion, coming through, checking in, you know what I'm saying, giving thanks, you know what I mean, for real, for real. So we gonna block up some fire sound and get into some real fire reasoning. Yes, indeed. So we'll tell them a little about yourself, Amni.
Yes, sir. Negus Salam, Haile Selassie first. Yes, sir. And I giving thanks, you know. And I yada for from Selma, Alabama, you know. Coming this time with the forerunner, you know, the forerunner to come forward with a fire of liberation, you know. So I have the basic suckling of that, you know. So we come in this time at the basic suckling, standing on the shoulders of the many that came before I and I. So we scooping up all of this, you know, melon, Selassie the first, you know, the source that's holding and harnessing, you know, I vibrations, so I can keep forwarding, keep moving in a forwardness, you know, of Black consciousness, you know?
Yes, indeed. And you know, it's a beautiful thing, you know, because there's an era in time where, you know, as I say, we were happy to be nappy, you know? Yeah, happy nappy mindset was a beautiful thing because we loved our own identity more than we loved someone else's, you know, and slowly but surely we returning, you know what I mean, to the love of self again, you know what I mean? But see, the real true love of self to me has to come from not just your identity, but your destiny, your descent.
Future.
You understand your descent is a part of your beauty and a part of your identity. And I think we lost that because we don't see ourselves truly as African descendants or Abyssinian descendants or Ethiopian descendants, you know what I'm saying? We see ourselves just here in these foreign lands and places, you know? So we're gonna take y'all black in this episode, you know? We're gonna go black, way black, you know what I'm saying? We're gonna go so black till it's gotta be called blacker black.
Black and black.
Yeah, because everything black on black in this conversation. The true story. Not his story, but the true story.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we want to get into some real true stories. And I'm thankful to have my brethren here, you know, Amda Zion, because I know he's going to be able to elaborate on some things that ones need to know and study, because this is a part of our story, you know, the true story that hasn't been told. You know, and I feel it starts first with us loving ourselves, going back to our original name, which is Ethiopians. That was our original name as a people, as a race of people, were Ethiopians. So when we return first to that mindset as an Ethiopian, we first have to understand what the word Ethiopia means, so we fully can identify with it, right? So the word Ethiopia means the land of the burnt skin, curly hair people. Right?
Who is that?
Ethiopian is the burnt skin, curly hair people. So who is these people? Who are these people? Now ones might say, oh, Ethiopians are light. You don't understand, all Ethiopians come in all shades, every color. The amount of tribes that's in Ethiopia is outnumber most tribes in the world. Just in Ethiopia alone, the amount of tribes. So my thing is showing you, say, we have a valid, dated history. It's a true story. Like you ever see on TV, they had like videos. They would go to Africa and they'll show you these people with these big lips, and they had these plates in their lips.
Yeah.
Those big plate lip people are Ethiopian. They was all black or black, wasn't they?
Yes, sir.
Big lip, black or black people. That's a certain tribe still to this day exists in Ethiopia that's separated from the world, right? That we don't hear about because Ethiopia has lots of tribes. So all these tribes make different shades of people. The Somalians are Ethiopian. That's a whole next shade. Eritrea just been broke off the other day, but those are still another shade and people of Ethiopia. So it's just one. The Sudan is even Ethiopia. So when you really check it, all that broad way is us as one people. We just been scattered throughout time and traveling throughout distance. But our origin comes from Ethiopia. They got a thing they call the old blood type.
Old blood.
Yeah, the old blood. Most people don't realize that's the original blood.
Yes, sir.
That's what the O
Universal.
stand for, the original. But that blood is Ethiopian blood. Did they tell you that?
Original man.
Did that tell you that original blood have to be from an Ethiopian genetic background? Did they tell you that? No, they ain't gonna tell you that. Did they tell you anywhere on any of these ancestral.com shows that you even 1% Ethiopian?
Nope.
And you 100% black, but you ain't 1% Ethiopian?
They'll say African.
No,
They
they
might
find
be-
a lot of
I
Europeans.
seen some people show me they was Vikings. They black ground tied back to
Yeah.
Vikings, and not 1% Ethiopian.
The true ways.
So we have to start thinking for ourselves again. You understand, and checking the true science and numbers of things for ourselves. With even the numbers of even Africa itself. The size even. They fool us on the map. Till this day they got these little fake maps showing Africa is not even the biggest continent on the planet. Right now you can pull up on your little fake Google, right? Ask Google what's the biggest continent on the planet. They're gonna tell you Asia. Right? But Asia broke up. Asia ain't together. Asia broke up. Asia way over there in Malaysia. Asia done split up all the way, you understand? Them near to China, you done broke up.
That's true.
But Africa's one solid rock continent. From east, west, north to south. The Congo. Huge lands. Mountains. And I mean big mountains too, the biggest mountains on the planet. In Africa. So I'm showing you, say, the lie has been told. As the movie said, a lie I'ma tell. A lie I'ma tell.
Fire.
And they keep lying to you, and you keep believing it. But it's time we wake up and get to some real true facts. So we're gonna go into a little history, right, really, because that's what I love to do. Make sure that y'all stay focused on your story, because you done heard his story too long.
Facts.
Hi, I'm to speak to him, brethren.
Yeah.
Selassie, let me see the fire, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I and I said, you know, it just come forward from the foundation that I and I come forward in. That we inherited, you know, as being a descendant of this oral history,
True.
you know, because I and I people ready for oral history, you know what I mean? You know, and when you say oral, that's coming to be sound, word sound, you know, so that's prophetical.
True.
You know, I mean, so from Hebraic Christology, well, man said, the song of Moses, because Moses chat about the two songs. When the time of the Hoel and the mountain came ablaze, and we got the ordinances. The song of the Lamb and the song of Moses, which was the song of the people. This song was their life. You know, this song is their life. So their life is a written one. You know, it's an oracle about them.
Truly.
You know, and we watch through all these movies where they always have some type of oracle thing going on with them. You see what I'm saying? They use this as everything they do. It had to deal with some type of oracle.
Truly.
You know,
for real.
and it's a reality for I before I. So dealing with the oracle history, we call it to the root of Ethiopia. And what is Ethiopia?
That's true.
To the ancient Greeks, Ethiopia is mathematics, Liele.
Selassie.
Something you have to use in this life. You know, to deal within the higher heights. You know, but we talking about eternity though. Them heights, Liele.
Selassie.
The heights of Ethiopia. Because when you leave America now, going to Ethiopia, you know you have to make a Nike sign. You leave North America, you go down like this. And then you have to make a Nike sign and go up like this to go to Ethiopia. You have to go up like this and go over the clouds. Ethiopia is over the clouds. Literally. This when you get to the land of ambers. What you call it? Amber. An amber is when you go over the clouds and you find a pasture of green acre, a fertile soil, fertile land. It may be 7 miles, some of them may be 15, 12, some of them may be 50. You know.
That's true.
What they call it a gasha in Ethiopia. You see? So it's talking about a whole different terrain that you're dealing with. A whole different, you know. Because when the Italians come in, they said nothing of them can live in Ethiopia because the altitude was so high, it was hard for them to breathe.
True.
The air is thinner. But we talk about this place where the ancient Greeks would go to study. Because I always has been teachers of humane things, humanity. You know?
Truly.
So they go and learn from their teachers and they want to say, well, you know, these ones are noble. So we coming from a foundation when we talk about Ethiopia, we talk about nobleness. Honorable men, those who would not tell a lie. They became the historians, the custodians of the history. Of righteousness. You know? So we come within this line with the Ethiopian, you know, and then we come forward, because we know in Ethiopia we had the first Fidel. It's the Ethiopian alphabet that's written, you know. That's written. This is documented. With the seven, based off of 7 phonetical sounds. You know, we talk about the 7 chakras. We dealing with vibrations within I. So we still coming off of this theme and going forward to the transatlantic slave trade. We come forward through all these vibrations and everything. So we inherit, we come on in to say it's against the law for them to learn to read. It's against the law for them to beat a drum. It's against the law for them to learn to read.
Well, even before they do that, let's go into it because you know, a lot of people forgot they was brought here in a ship. You know, you know that's the time we living in. You know.
Well, you know.
So I'm showing you in this day and time. Let's go back to the ship because we got a history of when the ship actually came and when it was moving around, right?
Hot.
So we dealing with what the 1600s, right?
Hot.
When the ship was rolling around.
Hot.
Where was the company?
Hot.
Was formulated that had this ship that was making transportation of human beings in America.
Yes, blacker than black. But we said still in the oracle history, the prophetical history, where they said they sold a girl for a barrel of wine. So this is the history we're talking about. We're talking about the setup of a company. Because you took away the humanity of a people by the setting up of a company. I humanity was taken away before the eyes of the world by the setting up of a company called the Royal African Company. coming as the royal adventures into Africa.
Hot fire.
Hot.
Red.
We come forward as the Royal African Company.
So this was their adventure to go into Africa.
This was a enterprise launched by the Stuart house, the Stuart family in England.
Of England.
Yeah, but they're the one who commissioned Columbus.
Right.
That's how Columbus come into the whole picture.
Oh.
Because their products was gold, silver, ivory, and then humans.
Now humans.
Because at that time we had some internal wars going on in Africa. And they just come forward to get the trade and things, the ivory and everything, and they see what was going on. These people right here captive because they lost in the war. They want to just, take advantage of the situations. What, those people was slaves? But the thing about it in the African thing, them people been going on to the next people because they've been conquered through war. They still have the humanity intact though.
True.
You see?
Truth and life.
You know, to the time to where, the Most High come and see what happened, But now this man come on a whole different mind frame and say, could we have some of those? So what you want this for? Yeah, I'll give you this right here. Barrel wine.
Red.
So now the man got the first few Africans he bring forward over here. That it wasn't in a mass thing of the thing, but that jumped off to start the thing.
True.
So now they servicing as gold, silver, ivory, and humans.
And humans. And who are the humans?
The humans was the ones at that time that would be called Ethiopians. Yeah.
But it's a human.
Yes, sir.
So he had to have hue in him. He had to have of color. So
Hot.
he was a man, but he was a human.
Hot.
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 Red.
That's only us.
Hot. Yes, sir.
And so this is, and then they bring it to America, right? And then they say you 3/5 of a human being now.
Yeah, you're not even a man now.
Now you 3/5 of what it makes to be a human being. But they took you from Africa as a human.
Yeah. Then dehumanized us and made us type savage like them.
True.
With all their little tactics and all that.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Yes, sir. Well, we're an African company set up in. Well, that was off the books when they started off the books. Then they had to bring everything on the books.
Right,
So when they brought everything on the books, they said that was
pay the taxes.
1660. And they brought everything on the books, along with the city of London merchants. And the scripture tell I those who cries in the ships. They cries in the ships. They made money off their ships. They ship merchants. So it was the Stuart family and the city of London merchants who put forth this enterprise.
It's true. It's true.
Led by the Duke of York, who was the
Duke
brothers
of
of
York.
Charles II, who would come to be James II, who was the brother of James I, one who translated the English version. We got credit for translating the English version of the scriptures, which they came to Jamestown in 1607.
Yeah.
And came with the James King 1611.
1619 when they said they pulled into Jamestown.
And 1611. But the Jamestown, the Bible was the King James version translated in 1607.
Okay.
So they brought that Bible with them. Now this James brother, they come and set up the Royal African Company and took our humanity before the nations. It was a chess game. Because here we are on the checkerboard of life. The chessboard of life.
Oh,
now.
yes, indeed. It is. That's chess.
So it's all falling to pieces. It's falling in line, move for move. And you'll see how everything's moving. That your maker You know, it's a wise one, you know. But he has a humor to him too. The truth and rights, you know, because everything we get from him. Because he said, you are gods, but yet y'all know you all are sons of the Most High God. Selassie the first, the Ethiopian God. Selassie the first. So I carry the Ethiopian covenants, you know. So we're coming off this mountain of Ethiopian, you know, literature that's founded for I and I. So we are the babes and sucklings coming off of this, you know, and so it showed that I and I coming in this time from the transatlantic slave trade, you know. They said we couldn't read, it was outlawed to read. That's one thing you put to death for, and for beating the drum. They'll put you to death for beating the drum, because you're beating the drum and catch you reading. Right? Because literally we know, when we read the Bible, we will find ourselves. When we find Ethiopia.
That's true.
We find Ethiopia, we found ourselves. After already, you know, fermenting over this Ethiopian centric over 400 years.
True.
You know, so we see the combination of these things. But going off of that, during that time, the ones who learned to read, one of them blessed ones, Ethiopians, was named George Liele. George Liele, who was born in 1750 in Savannah, Georgia. And he come forward, you know, in the calling and found himself in Ethiopia and went forward, you know, baptized in the name of Ethiopia and the God of Ethiopia. Yes, when he came forward, I and this Ethiopian centric. What we said, I not look at Ethiopia as the center of our universe, the center of our universe. We look at Ethiopia as the center of the beginning. Right?
Truly.
So it'll be our compass. Right? Well, all everything come forward in this time, we said the only thing that's ground dated in this creation is the throne of David.
True.
Where it come forward in this time to Ethiopia through the Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. You know, recorded in Negus. Well, we go forward yet still with George Liele. George Liele come forward and he baptized in the name of Ethiopia and the Most High of Ethiopia in the ways. In them same times, the American Revolution break out. The American Revolution break out.
Yeah, that was in
from
1775.
Yep,
1775.
To 1779.
73.
79?
Yep, 83, I mean.
83.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, So during this time, historically, I took part in this war as the Ethiopian regiment, fighting under the British against the American colonists, against the General George Washington.
True.
So the British established the Ethiopian regiment. Woo! They said, the Ethiopian regiment. Haile. How they call us Ethiopians? And these men trying to put us in slavery. Because the ones who broke away from slavery ran and joined the Ethiopian regiment.
Truly.
They call us Ethiopian before we go down into the slavery. Selassie. What? So George Liele and ones went and registered in the army with the Ethiopian regiment. And was fighting. And we come all the way forward now to the Battle of the Potomac. And George Washington, they laid a stockade on the fort. And as they laid the stockade on the fort, the forces moved over and up and used the cannons and started coming over the walls. So now the British had to leave. So they left by water. They let them leave. So the brothers that was inside there, they wanted to leave with them. But now the British who told them, if you fight with we're gonna give you your freedom. Now they're telling them they got to pay them for their passage to Jamaica or the West Indies. And since you don't have the money, you must indenture yourselves to us. And then when you get there, you can work it off and then we'll grant you your freedom. Hot.
Right. Did they ever get
So one of the one, One of the white men, was moved by George Liele because George Liele was preaching. He moved a lot of hearts, black and white. He won over in the name of the Lord of truth. So he put forth the $700 for George Liele and his family to go forward to Jamaica. So George Liele made that trip to Jamaica. And George Washington, they did raid the fort, and all the ones that didn't have the money that could go, they got returned to slavery, returned back to their slave masters. And George Washington went on, and he came the first president of the United States. But George Liele came to Jamaica. He ended up in Jamaica in 1782 as a free black man, with an indentured one, but he worked off his $700 and established his own trading company because he had a team of horses and a carriage. So he became the first, postal UPS, we would call it nowadays,
Right.
independent carrier,
That's true.
Amazon, yes. Because they incited him several times for treason against the queen, because he was talking about a coming of an Ethiopian king.
True.
They even took his helper to court. They killed him because the punishment was death.
Wow.
So George Liele represented himself in court, and he beat the case.
Okay.
And he lived independent of the system, delivering packages and things for people.
That's it. I love that.
Yes, I.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so during this time, to even be that independent, and they really trying to take your life, because they telling you got to stop this Ethiopian Abyssinian preaching to these slaves, because Jamaicans weren't free at the time George Liele hit the island. Jamaica wasn't free at the time George Liele hit Jamaica,
Okay.
So they told him he had to stop this preaching to them. But he kept on doing what he was doing. Yeah, Selassie the first. And he bought some land in Kingston, Jamaica. He bought 3 acres. He had a 3-acre lot of land in East Kingston. In 1784, George Liele purchased this. He also was putting out a newsletter. Now we talking 1783. This is 100 years before Marcus Garvey came to Jamaica. So we know where Marcus Garvey got his tradition from. Of writing, papers, putting out paper, what we say, propaganda.
Proper propaganda.
You see, because these people are winning the propaganda war over we. That's what's going on. We're not narrating our story. Whoever tells the story is the winners of it, because they're showing their perspective on it, and putting their twist on it. So George Liele coming to Jamaica doing this 100 years before Marcus Garvey. George Liele was in Jamaica doing that in 1783. Still working in Jamaica in early 1800s. He coined the word Ethiopian. George Liele did.
Really?
He coined the word Ethiopian. Yeah. Selassie the first. In our time. Yeah. He coined that word, Ethiopian. Yes, sir. George Liele did that.
Glad to see that.
And then moving from George Liele coming forward out of the same cotton field, this same downpression, which we call the valley of the shadow of death, we come to the one that we call the master Ethiopian teacher.
Yes, sir.
Who was born September 7th,
Willis. Nathaniel.
1886 in Selma, Alabama.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, I. Willis, Dr. Willis, Nathaniel Huggins,
Yes, sir.
who was the unsung teacher of all the intermediate modern scholars that we know. you know, that came in between, you know, Dr. John Henry Clark,
Dr. Ben,
Dr. Ben,
Van Sertima,
you know,
they all know.
these were the students of the great master teacher, Dr. Willis Nathaniel Huggins, you know, because Dr. Willis Nathaniel Huggins, he was a co-writer of a guide to a study of African history, because he promoted education with African history and African American inventors' history, you know, because we're going into a modern time, so you need to know about these modern inventions that's going on. Why not promote them? You know. But yet it's still a serious study of African history, because he said there was no history without African history.
Which is a fact.
You know, how can you have history without African history? So Dr. Huggins came to New York as one of the rare, at that time, first black teachers, history teachers. But he was controversial because he said there's no history without African history. So how can you teach history without African history? You can't teach history without African history. So they was in total opposition to this. Even though they had to rescind to him because he was educated in their institutions. So he was coming to them with facts that he had gathered from their institutions. So how are you going to refuse your own records and your own literature of this? Because these are not our colleges. Dr. Willis Nathaniel Huggins was graduated from a white college, Fordham University, with a PhD. So he come to them saying, you know, how can you have history without black history when you celebrate this history? They said, well, really, we'll give you a job, but you had to teach our children first. So he became a teacher at Brunswick High School in New York in 1940. And then they had to teach the black students at night. And at the YMCA, you know, they had to hold their own forums to teach the black youth them. This is 1940 in New York. This was going on with the Ethiopia, you know. So that's why we have Black History Month in February. We don't ignore it, because they give a little honor to him, even though they fought him so fiercely, and they ended up eventually murdering him. He was assassinated. So we have Black History Month in February in honor of the great master teacher, Dr. Willis Nathaniel Huggins, who was born February 7th, pardon me, 1886. Yeah. So that's why we have the Black History Month in February, you know, because he was already dealing with these type of things for us as the foremost activist as well, because he spoke at the League of Nations on behalf of Ethiopia during the Italian aggression. And he talked about American neutralism, because America adopted a policy of being neutral and not interfering in foreign wars at the beginning of the Italian-Ethiopian War, right? But they still traded steel, though, abroad. So Dr. Huggins, he burned a fire on that hot. He burned a fire when he went to the League of Nations on American neutralism and the League's failure to act. So there was two fires he was burning. He was burning fire on Italy and the Vatican for attacking a fellow Christian nation. For when Mussolini forces invaded Ethiopia, the day they was invading, the Bible was being translated on the presses in Ethiopia. His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I, was translating the Bible at the time the Italians was invading. The Bible was being translated.
And you know what they do? They always tell these people, you know, about Mussolini, right? But they never tell you who defeated Mussolini.
Huh?
Isn't that interesting?
Well, you know, really,
They'll tell you about the beast,
Yeah.
but they won't tell you who defeated the dragon. You know what I mean? So when you look at it in the fullness, because that's a part of it same way. When you look at it, that was the whole thing. It was about what? An Armageddon.
Armageddon.
Right?
Yes, I.
So when we're breaking it down, how are we seeing Armageddon now?
Well, see, Armageddon means what? Armageddon means arm, age, done. This is a war to end war.
All right.
So this what they're not telling I and I.
Mm-hmm.
Because the scripture tell I and I forward when the king of might, the spirit of truth shall come. He shall cause men to beat their swords into pruning hooks and plowshares, and they shall study war no longer. That's what the prophecy is.
Look at that.
So
Right.
when His Imperial Majesty, Haile Selassie I, then known as Rastafari, went forward on this historic journey to Europe in 1924. He went forward and entered Ethiopia into the League of Nations. The rest of the European nations was just coming out of World War I, sealing up with World War I. So the king came in there and he mediated between those nations to come up with a peaceful solution and a peace solution, which came out to be the Paris Treaty.
The Paris Treaty. Hot.
Yeah, what they call the Kellogg-Briand Pact,
True.
which was a pact to outlaw war.
To outlaw war.
It was a pact which outlawed war as a national policy for all nations.
So that means no nation couldn't go against nation. Could not even.
Every
war against
nation made a promise to remove war as a policy of their nation. This was signed on 1928.
1928, right.
And then after the signing of this, 2 years later, they got an invitation from Ethiopia, welcoming them to the holiday coronation of His Imperial Majesty, Emperor Haile
Selassie.
Selassie I
That's
first.
the coronation.
The coronation, November 2nd.
November 2nd.
Because
1930.
in 1930, because the king couldn't be crowned when there was war on earth. Well, everything had to be still for his coronation.
Give thanks.
Everything had to pay attention.
Selassie.
Selassie I first.
Even that year, National Geographic just came up with color. They just started printing color.
And then just started their filming.
If they filming at the same time, filming in color was just going into motion.
And
Right there
That's great.
at that Iowa at November 2nd, 1930.
that's what it's made for.
Right, so now you
All
got
the stuff made
all
for
the
the
photographers.
king.
They got to worry about coming in from Paris and all these things against another nation,
That's right.
and another nation against the next nation. They all can come together and had to leave their arms in war
It's peace.
and be at peace and come give thanks and praise unto the King of Peace.
He had to make the peace though.
Yeah, Selassie.
So he came into the nation in 1924.
Yes,
Ethiopia was the first black nation that joined the League of Nations.
the only nation. Yes, indeed.
But he had to work to mediate between them nations.
Selassie.
Yeah, he should mediate between the nations and cause them to beat their swords into pruning hooks
Swords
and
and-
plowshares.
So that means that they got a sword and they got what they gonna really stab somebody. They gonna beat that down
To
and
yeah,
to a pruning hook. So now they gonna start using that to just prune up stuff,
plant till the
Plant and
earth.
stuff. And the next one gonna have a whole machete. He gonna say no. You're gonna take that down now. You're gonna beat that down into a whole hole where you're gonna be digging up the earth
So weapons
to tools.
into tools.
That's a
Because
tool.
the fullness is
That's deep.
there is no culture without
Agriculture, fireball, hot, red.
That was it.
Yeah,
So when they get us on that meditation, that's how they got us all.
yes I.
Because we just on all the cultures.
Hot,
But we ain't dealing with agriculture.
yeah.
That's right.
We're not seeing the fullness of agriculture being the fullness of our foundation. That's what we do anywhere on the earth, is agriculture.
Yes, agriculture. Ain't no
So-
culture without
Nature
agriculture.
and land.
So
Alright.
again, going forward to the ice story, is the crowning of the king. Because when you see His Majesty set the peace on earth, now remember say all these nations were all fighting one another and,
Yes,
and going in.
Yes, sir.
And it was a deal set, the Paris Treaty was set where they had to literally just be at peace and had to come in peace with each other. They had a moment at peace on the earth. His Majesty done that.
Paris Treaty, outlawing war. Now we can even really hold that agitation now to know upon this earth that happened, that all nations remove war as a policy of their country. That is such a big statement right there, King. That's the world. That's another.
True fact.
That's a heavens. Huh?
For real.
Because we said we got time. Because patience, see, time is the patience of the saints. That's the righteousness of the saints.
True.
So we have time to wait on the Most High to give us a solution. We keep trying it. We're not giving up. We say, oh, we got time to reason on this. We're not going to resort to war, my brother. We got enough time. We'll be back 4 here, 7, next light. We'll reason upon this again. We're going to pray that the Most High give us an adaptation to the solution of the problem without shedding blood.
True.
Hot.
Right.
Right. Hot. Because we could think about how to make a rocket or a satellite to send to space. But we can't agitate till we can come up with a solution for our problem. That we can't shed no blood. Fireball.
True.
Hot.
Selassie,
That's a Satan taking that and say you don't have time.
Yeah.
You don't have time to think. You know what I'm saying?
Getting the European out the war.
Hot. That thing hot,
power.
King.
That's
That
power.
thing hot. Huh?
You get
Yeah.
the European out the war. The warmonger.
As I'm
Yes,
telling
sir.
you, it's that's where we at right now.
That's right. I pulled it up, King, so we can be accurate with the vibe. Because we coming right off the head, right off the ivory. Here,
True.
Liele?
Selassie, yeah.
Selassie the first. Man said the Kellogg brand pack, or pack of Paris, officially the general treaty for renunciation of war as an instrument of national policy. Hot.
Right.
That's hot.
Right. Flames. See,
And the
see.
Prince of Peace, that tell like now, Isaiah 11, come forward. You know what I mean? Isaiah 9:11. But the government should be upon his shoulder. Until us a son is born. Until us a son is given. And the government should be upon his shoulder. And he shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, and the Prince of Peace. Because he went into the nations, he was known as the Prince, Ras Tafari. Ras means prince, heir to be head. Ras Tafari. He was Prince Tafari when he went to the League of Nations in 1924, representing his country, who had an empress, Zalitude at that time. He was regent, Rastafari. So we said reggae music is a region music. It is a music about a royalty, regent, reggae, R-E-G, reggae, regent, reggae. Reggae is music about a regent. Regent Rastafari, Prince Tafari. So we know the scripture is true. Because he is the wonderful counselor. He was being a wonderful counselor to the nations in 1924. And he come up to 1928, mediating between them. Because he was non-postural in it. He had nothing to do with no size of it.
Truth and right.
So he could come in and be a judge.
For real, truth and right.
And everybody would say, let him judge.
That's true.
Because he ain't got nothing to do in this. He coming to a house of thieves, and he the innocent one in here. He is surely the lamb
That's true.
in the wolf. Not in the wolves.
That's hot.
Right. For real.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So they never tell us this is really why they come to Ethiopia. Because they shut their mouth to hear that what they had never heard before.
Right.
So they come to Ethiopia to honor him.
True. True.
We didn't know that at the time.
And they did honor him.
And they honored him with presents.
They honored him. 72 different nations had to come before him.
Yes, I.
And bow before him.
Yes, I.
Bow before the Black King.
Yes, I.
The Black King of David, the Black King Christ. I, living king and living emperor, right? They had to come and bow before the Black King. And this is the thing. Everyone had to give up their titles. Because they didn't have a title over his.
Yeah, you can't use it.
This is the thing they don't want us to know. No one has a title over His Majesty's title.
Well, I pray that
All right.
everyone sent salutations to the king, but America. Roosevelt said he sent congratulations, but he said the United States don't recognize religious titles.
Wow, red.
But he
So
received
remember
a
that.
cadre of presents from the private sector, though. The official president from the official government was a typewriter with the Royal Coat of Arms and 500 bushes of rose bushes of the latest variety made by the American scientists at the time. They sent them 500 of those. And a typewriter with the coat of arms on it. And a letter from the president. And he had the letter saying that America don't recognize religious titles. So he can't honor him like that, but they still congratulating him. That's the official word. So this country is the only country in the world that didn't, they honored him. And the private sector, that was all the churches and, one like that. They honored him greatly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
But in that time,
they sent the typewriter with the Royal Arms on it, the coat of arms of America, and the Bible, the movies, Ben-Hur, Moses and the Bible. They sent them movies too. Sent them the collection of those movies to the king. Selassie, the king of kings.
Movies.
Yes, I.
Yes,
And then I also took a ton cake. Yeah, a T-O-N.
Oh, wow.
They shipped this cake to Ethiopia.
Okay.
It was one of the most magnificent feats of the 20th century that they don't talk about.
You saying they weighed a ton?
Yeah, the cake weighed a ton. The cake. Now think about how magnificent a feat that is to get a cake that's a ton to Ethiopia,
That's
the
already
highest region in 1930.
red.
Hot.
Red.
Woo!
Hot.
Huh? But see, they don't tell us about this. All of them had to go to Ethiopia and get on one train. So all of them was on the train. They never told them. They'll be coming around the mountain when they come, here to come. They'll be coming around the mountain, here they come. There they come. They'll be coming around the mountain. They'll be coming around the mountain. They'll be coming around the mountain when they come.
You're always hot and true.
You see?
It's true.
Yeah, because the prophecy says, after he goes through the nations and he calls them to beat their swords into plowshares and pruning hooks, they said, come, let us go up to Zion so he would teach us of his ways. But when they came there, they became confused and dismayed when they heard what he had to say, which was Psalm 101. But he made a vow. Psalm 101. I will sing of mercy and judgment to thee, Lord, where I sing. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. I remember thou coming to I. I shall walk with thy house with a perfect heart. I will set no wicked thing before I in thy eyes. I hate the words of them who turn aside. It shall not cleave to I and I. And forward heart shall depart from I, and I shall not know a weak heart person. Whoso previously slandered his neighbor, him will I cut off. He that has a high look and a proud heart, will not I and I suffer. My eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with I. He that walk in the earthly way, he shall serve I. He that practice deceit, he shall not tarry in thy house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in thy sight. For I shall rise up early, every light, to destroy all the wicked of the land. That may cut off all wicked doors from the city of the Lord.
Selassie.
So, the king stood up in the coronation and gave that psalm to how his reign would be, or they fell into confusion then when they heard the translation. They fell into confusion. Because he received the sword of Solomon. And with this sword, he shall secure the poor and the needy, and the widow, and the orphan. Woo! And those who are oppressed. Woo! With this sword. Gird that sword upon thy thigh, almost mighty, and ride in majesty and prosperously because of meekness and truth. What the blazes? It was hot. Yeah, so we know Ethiopia, and they show us with the Ethiopian regiment that before we went down into the enslavement, they called us what we was, Ethiopia. And we know the most sacred word in the universe is the word Negus. Negus. The Negus. The Negus. Yeah. The Negus. The Negus. Yes, I.
The Negus.
The Negus.
The Negus.
Yes, I.
The Nugu,
They already knew about the Negus.
Yeah, and they already know, but the thing is, we don't know.
Yeah.
We still confused because here's the thing. The true Negus can only be a king from Ethiopia. That's the truth.
Yes, I.
Right?
Yes, I.
And the true king of Ethiopia is Haile Selassie I.
Well, check this out. The man said the word Negus was the ancient king, ancient word. It was one of the most sacred words in the universe.
Truly. Facts. Truth and lies.
One of the most sacred words in the universe.
Truth and lies.
The universe. What is the universe? The universe is the united verse. Because you go out to the earth, you got a verse of his word somewhere. So you got to unite all them verses. And you get a picture. A picturesque view of the universe.
True.
Huh? The triune. The triunity.
Yes,
the universe. Yes, I. He reign upon the universe. You know, most sacred, Negus. And they try to take the word Negus and defile it.
Yes,
and kickery down here. Give me that water, nigga. Give me that barrel of water, nigga. Nigga, pick that mop up. It became something that's supposed to have been bad or something. You know, but it's just an antagonizing thing. When it becomes an antagonizing thing, man say, okay, this man is bitter. Oh, he bitter because they can never conquer the Neguses. Oh, that's why he bitter, because they can never conquer the Neguses. Yeah. You can't conquer the Neguses. That's why the bitterness come in. Huh?
Yeah, because the Negus is the king. And the king's never been conquered. And those kings are Ethiopian kings who coming forward from all, like you said, from all Sheba, Menelik, down line, all the way through. And those kings and queens has been in a free land forever. So they know those are the true Neguses from original time. And you know, here's the thing. You know, we got gold, right? But Ethiopia has a gold too. Right? And you know, this gold over here has been stepped on and all kind of foolishness gone on to it. But Ethiopian gold is still the most valuable gold on the planet.
Sure.
Right? There was a goal that was given to black people to get themselves back on themselves during the time of reparations. Right?
Yeah, break that.
And this goal was given from an Ethiopian king, which was a true Negus.
Selassie.
And this Negus here was Emperor Tewodros, right? Who gave to United States of America $400 billion in Ethiopian gold. Gave it to him. This is for the reparations of the black people of the West. Right? Gave to them. This was during the time of Lincoln now. Lincoln, of course, got what? Assassinated.
Yeah, he got killed.
Right? But during that time, when the whole thing was going forward, which was supposed to be our reparations, was supposed to be that $400 billion in Ethiopian gold. We didn't get that. They said they're going to give us, not that, they're going to give us 40 acres and they're going to give us a mule.
Hot.
So each individual, instead of getting that Ethiopian real gold, said, nah, we don't give you that. Give them 40 acres and a mule.
Hot.
The outcome was that that's what was supposed to happen. Did it happen?
Hot.
Did the 40 acres?
Well, I pray that.
That
What year
didn't
this
even
is?
happen.
What year is this?
Right now, we going back to the time of Lincoln. So we in the 1700s there.
1700s. Okay. No, when was the proclamation, Emancipation Proclamation?
No, 18.
18.
No, I'm tripping. 18.
1863.
Truth and rights. 1860.
1863.
1865.
That's that's the Emancipation Proclamation.
True.
All right. So Tewodros sent that vibe forward during that time. How Tewodros know what's going on with I? So we can go forward with the history of the Abyssinian Baptist Church. When you had the Ethiopian sail here and end up at New York with the merchants at the trade in 1803. And they went, when I was out, they went to try to have church, and the white people wouldn't let them in the church because the church was segregated.
So
If you know, Ethiopia is the first Christian church. It's the oldest Christian church active.
True, on the planet.
So when they come forward, they think everything good, and they can't even hold service
True.
in New York.
Wow.
So they got with the other black people who had the same disgruntlement who was free during the time, and they established their own church called the Abyssinian Baptist Church. Hot.
Right.
The Abyssinian Baptist Church.
I was in Harlem.
So they still had to have relations with Tewodros and the emperors, the Negus in Ethiopia,
True.
to let them know what was going on here.
That's true. That's true. Yes, indeed. To let them even know what's
Yeah,
going
because
on.
that's before 1863. That's 1803 when they come down here, got to establish their own church. So somebody got to back it. Somebody got to have some resources to build this church up and hold it up. And, you know,
Yes, indeed.
these men don't come on a ship. They got resources.
Right. They got resources.
They merchants. They come on a ship to New York.
Real.
Yeah,
Right. And we came on ships too, but not that way.
yeah.
A little different.
We came on the ship, you know what I'm saying, at the bottom packed in. They actually was driving their own ships here as merchants with their own culture and their own treaty that they had already established with America. So America couldn't even do anything to the Ethiopian because they had to respect the Ethiopian for the culture and liberty. And
As a sovereign nation.
As a sovereign nation.
As a
But
sovereign
truly
nation,
as a
King.
sovereign nation.
You know, that thing
And as a
hot.
sovereign people.
Yeah,
That thing hot. So now,
Because they was a sovereign nation, the people. See, that's the thing that we get caught up in America. We think we got sovereignty, but we don't have a sovereign land.
right.
See, Ethiopia has a sovereign land and it's a sovereign people.
That's what we went wrong at. We didn't cite that in integration. We was giving up our own sovereignty by integrating.
Truth and rights. Truth
We
and
should have
rights.
never went for integration
True.
because we were giving up our own sovereignty.
Truth and
To
rights.
have our own nation, have our own currency for our nation.
That's true.
You see, to really be able to see about our nation. Because we always dealing with nations who we see wouldn't seeing about we.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? All the trouble we done went through with them. But I was reasoning on that thing about 1803 for we can see the reality of what Tewodros proposed or gave to them. Because the merchants already came forward. You know, the merchants already came forward. And now they founded a church. Ethiopia nothing but a church. Really, in that time. I just like the first established the monetary as we know it.
That's
Right?
true. Yep.
So they were establishing an outpost, which was a church, which is the Abyssinian Baptist Church, because that's what they do. They establish churches. They about church. The structure is a church.
Truly. The structure's a church.
See?
Yeah.
So Tewodros come and get the gold now.
Right.
That seems even more plausible.
Right.
Right?
That's
That
true.
seems even more. You know what I mean? That would be the case.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, these people having problems over here, you know. these people got these people over here in some chain, treating these people like this. These people talking about they come around and they preaching Christ. What going on here?
Yeah.
I get out the ship, I don't see nothing but crosses everywhere. All these ship masses and everywhere, crosses everywhere, and these people doing inhumane things.
Right.
What? Oh, we need some help over here.
Right.
We need some help.
Yes,
The man
indeed.
sent gold.
Mm.
Ethiopia mean the land of the yellow gold. That's what Ethiopia mean.
Mm-hmm.
Land of the yellow gold.
Okay. Land of the yellow gold.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, indeed.
Right?
Right.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So that show I with the furnace of this whole thing that come forward and this Ethiopian heritage. You can't get around it. It's a blessed heritage. Ethiopia is our black rock of resistance. All the way up to be now in this vibe of Ottawa. So we said, His Majesty come forward and cause men to beat their swords into pruning hooks and plowshares and study war no longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now war outlawed, Majesty is crowned. They enjoy 5 years, no war. Mussolini broke this. So the war against Haile Selassie first was not just a little thing. The man really brought war back to the earth. The man was the beast for real.
Sure. Yeah.
This man brought war back to the earth. War was taken from the earth.
So,
When they went to war against the king, Psalm 2, why did
Yes,
the
sir.
heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing? The
Yes,
kings of
sir.
the earth set themselves to take counsel against the Lord and his anointed, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. He that is sitting in heaven shall laugh.
yeah.
He shall have them in derision. Eli.
Selassie,
Yet have I said, I king. I sung upon my holy hill. I king. Eli.
Selassie,
Rule thou in the midst of thy enemies. Eli.
Selassie,
Yes,
That's true.
I.
That's true.
So we know these truths that come forward for I and I, and we show how this is a major thing.
Yeah.
But they teach you that in high school, you know.
No, it was major because
You go over
the whole
World War
world-
II.
The whole world had to see it. The whole
Yeah,
world
man.
seen it because you got to understand, in that era and time, His Majesty was the most known figure on the planet. At that hour and time. Remember, say we talking about 1930, 1929, the stock market crashed.
Yes, I.
So they was already done at that point anyway.
And they didn't
World
have
was-
no system set up. They didn't have no welfare. Majesty showed them about that.
Mm.
Yeah.
At that time when the stock market crashed,
Mhm.
they didn't have no net to help the people.
Right.
No, them
right.
some straight up, them businessmen, there was something else, King.
But the world had to see the king sit upon the throne.
Yes,
And
I.
when they seen this with their very eyes, the world had to see it, but it shook Italy the hardest. Because now the boy Mussolini said he comes to now knock God off his throne.
Hot.
The damn devil.
Yeah, that was his mission. His mission now, he said he come to knock God off his throne.
Hot.
Because he knew that His Majesty is coming from David's bloodline.
Hot.
He is a royal descendant. His Majesty is not an ordinary human being. You understand? This is the golden child.
Hot.
Let's go into it. Let's go into it.
Hot.
Because His Majesty is the golden
He's
child.
the golden child.
Because when His Majesty was born, he was born 1892.
1892, King.
In 1892, when Haile Selassie was born, right after was the Battle of Ottawa.
Yes, sir.
That really took place in 1894. That
Mhm.
went on to 1896.
Mm-hmm.
So during the time of the Battle of Ottawa, His Majesty was born and they were trying to come and get the golden child in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Just like the
They was
movie.
coming to get the golden child.
These were two
That's what's up.
wars that Ethiopia went against, and they both were with Italy,
Yes, sir.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because they knew that this child was going to be born from that same bloodline, which is David's
Yes, sir.
bloodline.
Yes, sir.
You understand? And they knew that just because of what?
This-
When His Majesty was born, everything lined up.
They know the star. The Pope got astrologers. They've been searching the skies, waiting for his coming. Been searching the stars,
Waiting.
waiting for his time.
But when it did happen, there was a magical star that did appear,
Yes, I.
which was the star of Bethlehem.
Yes, sir.
And that Star of Bethlehem is what they seen on the same very hour when His Majesty was born.
Yes, sir.
So that is really His Majesty's star.
Yes, sir.
That's the star that they know that the Most High was born from. So now the war gauge now, they coming to get this child.
They're coming to get their child. It take them 4 years to get up their armaments.
In the days of Herod, what happened? In the days of Herod, what happened? The man said, look, the Christ is born. He said, where he born? In Galilee, sire. In Galilee? Could anything good come out of Galilee?
Hot.
That's like saying, could anything good come out the ghetto?
Hot.
Yes.
He out in the ghetto.
Hot.
Word.
He born in the ghetto. Hold
Huh.
on. Wait, so when the Galilee, which is Ethiopia, when he's born in the east, because that's where he's born, you know, and they know that, but they kind of keep it like it's not a reality.
Hot.
But the child was always born in the east.
Hot.
You understand? In the high east, which is Ethiopia.
Hot.
So now, they always knew in order to really conquer the world, they had to conquer Ethiopia.
Red.
But they could never conquer it because Ethiopia has never been conquered or colonized.
Hot.
So now here's the fullness now. When we watch TV and they teach us about the Raiders of the Lost Ark,
Hot.
these are real raiders, you know.
Hot.
We used to root for the raider.
Hot.
Listen to these people, you watching the raider, want the raider to, you know what I'm saying, the root,
Right?
uproot was yours. Because that's what they were coming to do. And that's what they do. They come to raid other people's things.
Yes, I.
So the reality is, it was all about the ark.
Yes, I.
And the ark still remains in Ethiopia.
Intact.
So that right there lets them know that they can't control anything.
Hot.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's where we at right now. We're in a time of still staying focused on what's real. Like right now, anybody focus on the reality of the real true inflation that's being taking place?
Hot.
No.
I ain't see minimum wage go up yet, but people telling me this and that went up.
Everything else.
I ain't see nobody say that minimum wage and jobs is paying excess amount or more. Actually, they might be even saying it more than I'm seeing it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what's going on. But the reality is, this is the game. To keep us thinking on one thing and not focus on what's before us. Where's our reparations?
Hot.
Where is our reparations? That should be our focus eternally.
Hot.
Where's our reparations? And we want to be repatriated.
Hot. Fact.
This should always be our focus even from that time. They got us so sidetracked as a people, we forget that these things here, waiting on right now, a stimulus check.
See, man.
Instead of focus on our reparations. You understand that we are truly, truly earned. You understand? Without apologies to no one.
Nope.
Without
You know.
apologies to no one.
And this is the thing that the Think Champs is about. If y'all want the true black history, you got to realize that our reparations is a part of it. Because people forget that.
Yeah.
That our history ain't even complete until we get what's owed to us.
Well, I
You
pray
understand?
that I said with this gold,
Yeah.
this gold now, we gotta see how much this gold from Ethiopia worth. This yellow, uncut gold.
Sure.
Come on. How about
Sure.
Theodore? And these people
Man.
want to give us 40 acres of the mule instead.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Priceless.
They want to give us.
It's priceless.
You want to give us 40 acres of the mule instead?
No.
Fireball, man.
All right.
First of all, they ain't even give us the 40 acres in
And
the
then
mule.
they even give us that,
No, that
King.
never even came up.
You
They
know,
never even
that's a serious sound there, King.
I want my mule too.
You know what I mean? That's a
So,
serious sound
I
right
want
there.
to sound like, let's stay focused on what we need. We don't need no more policies from no one. The only thing we need to be focused on is our reparations and what's given to us. Because guess what? Once they give us everything that's ours, you know how many places empty? If they give us everything that's ours, you know every time you go open the door to a museum, nothing in there?
Nothing.
You know, if you go
Back.
to an ancient artifact building and say what's in there, absolutely nothing's in the files and nothing's there. It's all taken and gone.
Mm.
You know, Only place to be still there packaged up and still ready to ship out is the CDC. Because that's what they do make. They make drugs.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and also what
That's
be
what
there is all their war weapons. Because they make a bunch of war weapons
Yes,
to
sir.
destruct and kill people.
That's what they.
You understand? This is what they do. And they make Twinkies too.
That's
but
the
differently
industry.
though.
That's the industry.
This is their most target is to keep us controlled
Distracted.
and distracted, because see, our focus right now is to repatriate. You understand? Now this is the thing. How you take somebody from somewhere and never let them return?
Hard.
You know what I'm saying? Just imagine that. Somebody take you out your place and just carry you somewhere and just leave you there. You can't never return back to where you came from. And you get comfortable there.
That's the
Well, it
problem.
has to be this be able to dispel the vision, the true vision of the history
Mm,
and the meaning. Because the people perish without the vision.
true.
So they don't have a vision of the return. They can't see the return.
True.
You see, they might not deal with no return.
Mhm.
You see? Because they're not even seeing that correct history in their words, what they're reading in their Bible. Because if they're reading the Bible directly, it will show them that vision.
Yeah, that vision. That's
You
true.
can't go around that.
No way around.
That's in the Song of Moses.
That's it.
You see?
Straight through.
So the king come and put us upon a mission
Mhm.
in this vision.
Mhm.
Because the dragon say, just because you get back to Africa, you know, you're not free, you know. You know. Just because you get back to Africa, you're not free, you know. You got work to do to make yourself free, you know.
Yes, indeed.
So the king put I and I on a mission. You see? But to be able to get this mission established, we got to be able to harness the character of Christ to be able to govern each other in humbleness with no war.
True.
We got to put our father policy of the Armageddon in true effect amongst we,
Yes.
so
indeed.
we can have heaven amongst we.
And Armageddon means what?
Armageddon means age done.
Arm edge.
Age done. No more war.
No more.
That's it.
Age done.
That's
So he give I and I the key to
Yeah.
end war,
And
which
you
is
know-
Psalm 101.
And you know, again, I had to pray that because you got to understand that this man here now is making it legal now for everybody to walk around with a gun and just really kill himself, you know. Because what he made the gun for, he made the gun to kill, you know. And these people got the gun ready to kill somebody and wind up getting themselves killed and killing somebody.
Alright.
This is what's going on with the gun. But the Most High come and say, this is Armageddon. This is arm, age, done.
Hot.
So now you don't have no arms. You have to go ahead and reason these things out.
Hot.
You understand? You have to go ahead and counsel these things out and get to understanding and accept right for being right and wrong for being wrong.
Hot.
Because this is the fullness here. We've got to understand that we're living in a time people not really being accountable for their actions.
Right.
You understand? They think and say you can do anything and it's gonna be okay, even though you know it's not the right thing. How does that work?
Well, they come into a world where anything goes.
Well,
When they set up a world where anything goes, there's no moral character.
all right, but
Because when you bring a moral character and say, well, I'm going to hold this moral thing and I got a problem with that right there. What do you mean?
right,
He's a good person, though. What do you mean you got a problem with it? You see? Because of your moral character.
true.
You see what I'm saying? But now, because you hold the moral character, and the society said they don't hold to the moral character, because they already sent the king a letter said, we don't honor religious titles.
Right,
America doesn't honor religious title because it's separation of church and state.
truly.
It's separation of church and state. So that's where it really coming to now. They're trying to take you away from having a moral character and trying to make everything secular.
Right,
Huh?
right. Well, what is it called? An oxymoron.
That's an oxymoron.
Idiot.
You know, that's an oxymoron.
So now the oxymoron now is the natural way of going on and doing things.
We're going on and doing things.
Because you could do it the right way, but you know, I just want to do it the oxymoron way, because that's what's going on in popular right now.
That's what's going on right now, King. It's no
But you
more.
know, you could, you know, do it the right way, and this is how it go. You know, I could just show you how it really go. You can just have it done. No, I'm gonna just go ahead and do it the oxymoron way, because that's what's popping and going on right now.
The oxymoron way, the goat way.
But you know, you ain't even gotta wear your pants like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you need to really, you need to just, you want to free both your hands and walk with both your hands up.
Right.
You need two hands to move around.
Right.
So, no, I want to just, no belt. I don't need a belt. I'm just gonna do the oxymoron way.
I gotta hold this with my hand.
All day.
You put a seatbelt on, and you know, it save your life. And you got a fast car there, you know. You driving a very fast car. You know, you drinking alcohol too.
Yeah.
You could just put a seatbelt on and be safe out there.
No
you know?
patience, King.
Nah, I'm gonna do it the oxymoron way. I'm gonna just,
That's the oxymoron.
because it's popular right now. They doing donuts in the street.
Fireball, hot.
You know.
Yes, I.
But you could have come and get a vegan dream donuts. You know, you didn't have to go out there and do a donut with no seatbelt on and lose your life out there. You know, I could have gave you a real donut. So what I'm saying is that the oxymoron way is popular right now.
Yeah, the oxymoron way.
You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, His Majesty come and teach on morals and morality. You know what I'm saying? Which is keeping us together in this reasoning. So that's what we're going to have to seal this one up into, you know. A moral reasoning conversation, and break it down as, you know, another episode. Because at the end of the day is, you know, it's all about one perfect black love about ourselves, our truth, our history, our story, you know. And our story is deep, you know. We can only touch the surface. It's like an onion, they say, you know. You got to peel that joint off in what? Layers, right?
Layers.
To really get to what? The real core truth of it all, you know what I'm saying? So we're going to keep peeling this thing back, you know.
But before we go,
yes, indeed.
Like, share, and subscribe. Go to Rebels Vision Television.
Oh, for sure.
And you'll see Think Champs and all the rest of our shows. Rebel Vision Television. Peace to the family.
That's true. That's indeed. Give thanks for real.
There we
Give
go.
thanks for that sound. Yeah, y'all definitely tune in, man. And like and subscribe, you know, because they're doing a lot of things with these
algorithms.
These algorithms now. So sometimes you might think you even getting the what they call the subscribe button and the notification. They're not even giving all the notifications to everyone like they used to, where it's supposed to let everyone know where it's doing certain ones and who they choose. So constantly look at that and check those things and see what's going on, you know? Yes, indeed.
Follow Think Champs. You know what we doing? What's this, Ross?
Oh, yeah, that's what it is. Let them know. Think Champs. That's on
our IG.
Our IG there,
That's
you know?
on Instagram. Follow Think Champs. And we appreciate the love.
No doubt. No
It's
doubt.
all for you, family.
If things.
Ethiopian Heights.
Selassie, yeah.
If things. More love. Y'all get tuned in and, you know what I'm saying? Make sure, like I said, y'all like and subscribe. And everybody stay positive, man. Give thanks for a little knowledge that we can share with y'all this evening. And I'm thankful for checking in. My brethren coming through, dropping some real truth and right history and knowledge of heights in history, you know, and that true story, you know. So we give thanks for that, because there's more time, you know, we're going to build and we're going to go a little deeper. Because the reality, what I want y'all to know and what they don't want you to know is that really and truly, there's no black African history without His Imperial Majesty Haile Selassie I. So once we get to know who His Imperial Majesty is more and what he's done for us as a people, we'll get to understand that he is a great, great king. He is the Negus. You understand? He is the Negus. You understand? He is the Negus Negast, which means the King of Kings. So he is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He is the conquering lion of the tribe of Judah. You understand? And this is the golden child that they don't want us to know about. The Christ in his kingly character. He who sits upon David's throne and rules forever. He alone is the only one that all his brothers shall praise, which is the other 12 tribes. It says, Judah shall be praised. All his brethren shall praise him. Haile Selassie is praised amongst all the tribes. Here they are. Selassie, Rastafari, and he will forever be praised. So we give thanks because these things is needed to know, you know. Slowly but surely it may all make sense, but do your studies and also make sure you do the numbers too. Africa is very big. We looked at it, Africa is 11.7 million, right? 11.7 million miles long, right? That's a big, big, big portion of the earth, you know what I'm saying? Like I was saying earlier, they try to keep us off of that. So you're looking at 11.7 million miles on the planet that Africa take up. America only takes up 3.5, right? But they add in Alaska and they add in Hawaii. When you strip that away, they're about 2.5. Hot. So we know that Africa will always be the biggest continent on the planet, no matter what these people try to lie and tell us. The true planet, Earth, is Africa, is Ethiopia. You understand? And we have to know this thing. Don't let us don't let them teach you no more lies about Africa being tiny and small. They got even Greenland big on the map, island. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's really a time we wake up and do the numbers for ourselves and rewrite our true story. Liele, Selassie. Yes, give thanks for all checking in that perfect love, right? And we saying what? You're tuning out to what? The Think Champs. Respect.